Yeah, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Comedy Factory Comedy Chat. Got a very special guest on tonight, one of the country's hottest young comics to come out of New England. He's been tearing it up until the pandemic, and he was the 2017 winner of the Boston Comedy Festival, the 2018 winner of the Seattle International Comedy Competition. He was the champ, and he's performed at Just for Laughs in Montreal. In 6.5 years, he's done all this, and I met this young man in a barn in New Hampshire when he was about 21, probably about 6 years ago, 5.5, 6 years ago. Alana Foden booked me to do a show, and Drew Dunn was in the show. I met him and I had him come up to Rhode Island. We got friendly, and what's happened since is unbelievable. Drew Dunn, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. This is exciting. Much somehow better than the barn even that we met in. I'd rather be virtual.
No, you wind up with your own sitcom someday, and I'm going to be sitting here in my living room. I met this kid in the barn.
Yeah.
You don't meet too many comedians in a barn.
No, people will start asking under what circumstances,
I don't know how they had a show. What was that, a campground? I don't even know what it was.
It was a golf/RV park. So I guess people just go up there. It's in the middle of somewhere in New Hampshire, and people just go up there for the season and live in an RV and golf all day long. And I mean, that's if you're into both, trailer parks and golf, which is a pretty specific market. That's like the two extremes. But hey, they were full, and it was a fun night. It ended up being pretty good.
Yeah, Lana actually had me booked. I think soon, the middle of this month, to be at the barn again. She had me going back. They wanted me back, and so I took it, and then we had to cancel. So
yeah. Well, I've actually done a few similar gigs since, like, shows have slowly been coming back, but they're all like outdoor and stuff like that. Yeah. I did one that was at another RV park up in I forget, somewhere near Maine, but in New Hampshire or something like that. It was like by the beach, and they had 4 rows of golf carts, and I'm standing in the middle of this open field. I'm just in a grass field, no stage, just a table behind me with speakers on it. And it got so dark by the time I went on. Everyone has all these like pimped out golf carts. The front row had to turn their headlights on, which just made me a beacon for bugs. In the middle of my set, I'm crunching beetles on my shoulder and slapping mosquitoes. So, normally in almost normal circumstances, you'd complain about a gig like that or be like, oh man, that sucked. We got through it. But it was a great time. I was just happy to be doing comedy again.
With this pandemic, any stage time is good. I haven't been on stage since March 15th. So I know it's, how did you get started, Drew? You started young. You were what, 21 when you started?
Yeah. I was a little into 21, so I started January of 2014, and I had just turned 21 in like the past May. So basically, I was playing college baseball throughout and then my shoulder got hurt in my senior year, so I kind of had to make that hard choice. Do I redshirt and play one more year, pay for another year of schooling and all that, and hopefully be healthy enough to play in what would have been my 5th year of college, or say fuck it and quit. And so that's what I did. That was like the goal before this, was like to play for the MLB. And I had some brushes with it when I was in high school and getting scouted and stuff like that, but it was never really.
Must have been a really good player.
Yeah, I was a better catcher than I was a pitcher, so I basically switched from catching to pitching. I was good defensively, but I couldn't hit my ass with a snow shovel, as my dad would say. So I had to make an adjustment and try and go for pitching, and then I basically just hurt my arm. And so my senior year, it was basically like a 2-week period between me going into my coach's office and telling him that I was all done to getting on stage for the first time. I basically saw this guy that I went to high school with he was a funny kid, but I never expected him to do stand-up comedy. And I saw him doing comedy down in Boston in college. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I should at least go check this out. Because it was always something that was kind of on my mind that I wanted to do. Yeah. And then I went and watched his show, and it was basically just a college open mic. And as you know, you go to an open mic, you see at least half the people bomb and, half the people do okay. So once you see what it's like, you're like, okay, I can at least do that if that's all that happens. You just don't get a response. So then, I got on stage like the following week at the Middle East and did an open mic, went on at like 1:30 in the morning or something like that. I was like 28th comic on the list. And that went well enough that I wanted to just keep trying it over and over again.
Yeah. No, I remember meeting your father. Your father used to come on when you came up to Rhode Island. Some of the shows, and once in a while, your father would come, your wife would
Yeah.
come. You weren't married then yet, but your wife was very nice. She would come
Yeah.
up. Your father was a great guy.
Yeah, very, very supportive. That's been like really key for me to be able to do this successfully, is to kind of have that network of people around me between my parents, my in-laws, and my wife to like support me to be able to do this whole crazy thing.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
because it's being a comedian is you've. I mean, I'm really happy for you. Like I saw you kind of when you started, and then I
Yeah.
seen the things you. I saw how I knew you were funny, and then I booked you for different shows, and you always did well.
Yeah.
You were getting funnier and funnier, and you did kind of characters and different
Mm-hmm.
voices and all kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, when the Boston Comedy Festival and Seattle Comedy Festival, I mean, that was like,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Drew is. I felt really really happy for you because you're young, you got your whole career ahead of you, and you're kicking it. You're kicking it.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Major.
Yeah, and I appreciate like what you've done for me, even, you know, early on. You were one of the first guys to offer me paid work at all, you know, outside of like Alana and you know, a couple like Dick Doherty helped me out when I was early on as well. But like going to do your shows down in Rhode Island, just getting in the car and driving an hour and a half, even to, you know, go do like an open mic at the Pub on Park or the Showcase the day before, was like, it felt like I was doing something. It felt like I was doing comedy, and that definitely made me better, you know, to have to go to these different environments, and whether it's, you know, like I said, the Pub on Park or a old funeral home converted into an Italian restaurant.
And I have you there at Spiritos when it was on Broadway.
Yeah, I did that one up in the
I had
attic.
a lot of crazy gigs, Drew.
Yeah, no,
that was a good place.
Man. That was a great show. It was like a little Italian buffet, you know, there's a good like 30, 40 people in a nice tight room. It was great, you know.
Yeah, they moved to a bigger place, and we had some shows, 200 people. It was awesome. And like the pandemic hit, and hoping to get back eventually, you know.
Yeah. I think as long as, you know, we start to do it responsibly, like I said, some people are starting to do outdoor shows. I actually did my first weekend on the road just this past weekend. I went out to Colorado and to a county where they had, you know, they have in Colorado Springs specifically, they have pretty good numbers as far as the coronavirus goes because it's a military base. So it's like Fort Carson's kind of their major spot there. So it was nice to kind of get out and get on the road. But even then, I still have like, you know, kind of holdbacks in my chest. I was like, is this the right thing to do? Should I be doing this yet? Like those kind of things. But in my head, I had this show booked since January. They're having the shows. They're only at half capacity. So I took a loss financially to do it. But for me, it was worth it to just get back out there. And you know, I was as responsible as I could. I wore a mask. I washed my hands. I Purelled. I stayed away from people as much as I could. And that's kind of the tough part too, is I love talking to people after the show. I love talking to the audience members, shaking hands, you know, just getting to know them. And I had to just totally avoid that. Even if people wanted to, it's not worth the risk, you know?
Yeah, I was the same way. Like after my dinner show, I'd go to the door, shake hands when they left. And how'd you like the show? And, you know, so yeah, it's going to be big changes for a while. I won't mention the name of the place, but I had a show booked in September. There's some really good comedians going there. And they emailed me today, and they had to cancel a show. 10 of their employees got the COVID, tested positive for COVID. So it's, I mean, some people, you know, they think that it's a joke, and some people, I take it serious because you don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know enough about it, so I take it serious myself, you know.
1,000%. Yeah, and I think you have to. I think the people that aren't really taking it serious or pretend it doesn't exist haven't been affected by it or know a person who's been affected by it. You know, like I'm friends with a few people that are EMTs, and like one guy's down in Georgia. He's an EMT, so he's working in a hospital every day, and he's on the front line. So to hear his stories of what it really looks like compared to what you see on social media or the media itself, it's vastly different. You know, so you got to be as safe as possible for sure.
Oh yeah, like I was doing, you know, around here, you know, in Mass and Connecticut, like 3 to 6 shows a week, depending between open mics, admin stuff, and so yeah, for me, it's been the first couple of months, I feel like what's going on here, you know?
Yeah, well,
I was depressed, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I was right there with you. I think a lot of comics were, you know, and it was hard because we didn't have that chance that we normally do at shows to connect with each other. That's where we all kind of, you know, we don't usually all, you know, talk over Zoom and stuff like this. You know, we usually do it face to face in the green room before or after the show and kind of let our own baggage off on each other. So to not even have that like connection was definitely difficult, you know, and then just the question mark of like, when is it all going to start again? Like, you know, like I had some great shows, some great weekend shows. I was finally starting to like headline some national clubs in like April and May and June that I had lined up. And so I was kind of holding on. I was like, okay, well, halfway through March, we're locked down. That'll be 2 weeks. Will bring us to April. Then we'll have a whole nother month. By May, we'll be good, you know? And then here we are in middle of August and there's no end in sight. So it's difficult, you know, because I mean, obviously you lost a lot of work. I lost a lot of work. Every comic did it. And it's one of those things you never thought could just go away. You know, it was like, oh, there'll always be comedy. You know, I'll always have a job. There'll always be some place I can go and do it.
No one ever saw this, could have predicted this. This is like unbelievable what's happened.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but I think it's good that you're doing this. And I think that's the big part, is to find a way to stay busy, find a way to still flex that comedy muscle, whether you're doing a podcast, whether you're doing, you know, a talk show or just creating videos. You know, a lot of people, that's what I started. I started just making animations every day.
I went on your website and I saw all the animation. I watched some of them. They were great. So,
thanks, man.
What got you into that, Drew? How did you go in that direction?
Well, I had always I always loved animation, and you know, like you said, I do all those different voices and characters and stuff like that. So for me, it was the best way to kind of present that. So I'd been slowly teaching myself how to animate over the last couple of years, just doing like little shorts and projects and things like that I thought were funny. But now that I had all this extra free time, I wasn't traveling, I wasn't doing anything else during the day. I just kind of sunk all this time into it. So I was making 5 or so minute animated shorts every week. You know, they'd take me like 40 to 60 hours to do it all. I do all the writing, I do all the voiceover, I do all the animation, all the editing, and put it all together and post it every Sunday. So it was.
How did you learn? Did you go to school for that, or how did you learn how to do all that?
I just went on YouTube and kind of like I found a program that made it pretty easy to animate, as far as like it uses the camera and it tracks your motion, so I can kind of do a lot of the talking stuff. So the most tedious part is like matching up the lips and moving the arms, and then the whole like editing on top of that, that whole process. But yeah, I just kind of taught myself anything. I was like, I wonder if I can do this. I would just Google exactly that. And now there's so many people making that kind of content online that I was able to find some pretty good tutorials to kind of help walk me through those things. So like I said, if I hadn't been slowly teaching myself over the last couple of years, I definitely wouldn't have been able to do what I did with those videos. So it was just
a lot of work goes into that. A lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work, but like I said, what else was I going to be doing, you know? And I wanted some sort of outlet to like get these jokes out about what was going on in the world, because there was just so much stuff going on that I didn't want to do another podcast. I didn't want to just sit and talk about it. I wanted to do something a little bit different. So that was more time consuming and a little bit more engaging for me, and kind of taking all those skills that I've been working on and put them together. So that's what I did. And I made about 9 episodes of those. I'm going to probably make at least one more of them and try and like kind of wrap the whole thing up and put a bow on it. And then
you have a YouTube channel? I mean, I went on your website, Drew Dunn Comedy. Yeah. I went on a website and I watched a few of them. You have a YouTube channel too, people can go to?
Yeah, so if you just search Drew Dunn on YouTube, you can find them all there. I also post them all on Facebook and Instagram if you follow me on there. So, and then they're on my website as well. I usually at least post like one right on the homepage, and then a couple other ones.
You're keeping busy, even though there's a pandemic. You found a way to keep busy.
Yeah, I'm trying to, and yeah, like I said, just a way to get those jokes out. I wanted to find a way to get like those. There's no toilet paper. Like there was always something new every week. So that was a big part of my writing process. Was I wanted to kind of make it all within a week so that I could take everything that was happening in the moment and try and tie at least some of it in, if I could, into this animation.
I'm amazed the animation. I mean, Bill Burr's done. He's got F is for Family. He's got
great
show. Animated show, and that's really good.
Yeah,
great show. And then I saw what you had today. I was like, wow, I didn't know Drew was doing all this. So
yeah,
that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I love F is for Family too. That's just so great. I mean, I know it's based in the 70s, but that hits home for me as far as my my life at home as well. So it's like, I mean, my mom's name is Susan, so just to hear Bill Burr's character yell that, it like hits me right in the childhood,
Yeah, it's crazy. Did you see his movie, Pete Davidson's movie, The King of Staten Island? Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. I've heard good things though.
You gotta check it out. Bill Burr, that's the biggest role he's had yet. And he was excellent. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So when did you? I mean, you started comedy. You were funny. I thought you were funny when I saw you, probably in the first year, and you kept. When did you say to yourself, wow, I'm doing good. Something might happen here. Like before the Boston Comedy Festival going in, did you think, like comics can have some confidence. Like, I can win this thing. Maybe did you feel that way, or were you taking a shot? I mean, did you know you could win that? I mean, to win the Boston Comedy Festival in Seattle, that takes talent. That's a big thing to win both of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thanks. And I mean, I try and go into those things because I had done other comedy competitions before. Like I even did one for Alana Foden, like when I was like 6 months in, and I ended up winning that. And then I did the Beantown Riots for Dick Doherty. The first year I made it to the semifinals, and then the second year I won that as well. So it wasn't out of the range of possibility for me to win it, but I know that the way that those comedy competitions go and the way comedy is in general, it's so subjective. All it takes is a judge to like apples instead of oranges, and you're oranges, and you're just, it's just not your year or whatever it is. So there was so many things that had to line up. My goal was just to put on a great show every time, to really execute my set the way I had planned it and worked on it. I mean, because that's what you do. You're constantly working on different lengths of sets. Where you always want to have your 5-minute set, and then that showcase like 15-minute set if you ever need to open for somebody, and then of course you're growing to do like the longer, the 30-minute feature, and then the 45-minute long set. So I felt pretty ready for the Boston Comedy Festival when it came around. And like the first round, I had done it the year before. So I'd done it the year before I won it, and I had lost in the first round. But it was different. They had twice as many comics that year. The show that I had that I went out, and there was only 6 people in the audience. So for me, I was like, well, this is kind of a crapshoot. It's just whoever the judges want for whatever reason that they like them. So I actually wasn't even going to apply the following year because I wasn't really happy with how it went the year prior. And then like right on the last day I could apply, my wife kind of convinced me. She's like, you should just do it. Like, fuck it, whatever. It's $35. Just apply and see if you get in. And then I got in, and I had a great set in the first round. And that first round, I was like, okay, I think I have what it takes to at least, hopefully get to the finals. But then once you get to the finals, it's 8 people that they're all killers. They're all great comedians. They're from New York, and they're from LA, and of course other local Boston guys as well.
Wow.
So once I made it to that, I knew so many things had to go right as far as like, where am I in the lineup? Who's before me? Who are the judges? Like all of those things have to line up. So I didn't expect to win. But then after the set that I had, I was like, okay, I think I did everything that I could. I don't regret anything about what happened. If the judges like me, great. But I know the crowd did. And that's all I can really control. That's all any of us can control at any given time is what the crowd thinks of us after we get off stage. So I actually ended up tying that year. It was me and Andrew Mayer that ended up winning. So once they said it was a tie, I was in my head, I'm sitting backstage like, okay, well, that doubles my chances. Maybe I did pull it out. And then they announced Andrew Mayer and then my name, and I was ecstatic. That was killer. And then for Seattle, I had no expectations for that. I had booked my flight home for the end of the first week because that one is like a super long competition where like the Boston Comedy Festival is like a week long, like your traditional festival. The Seattle Comedy Competition is a whole month. So it's one round is 5 shows. So the preliminary round was 5 shows long. It was a whole week, and they were all great. Like they got progressively better. Like the first one was at the Comedy Underground Club, which is it was a sold out show. It was great. And then you do like an improv theater, and then by the time you're in like the semifinal and final rounds, you're doing like just sold out theaters every single night. So it was like that's where I really kind of honed in that set going forward. So I mean, I didn't really have any expectations on who I was going up against, who these other comedians were. I knew 0 people that were in the competition with me. Now I know a lot of them because we were, when you do 15 shows in a month together, you kind of stay in touch as time goes along. But that very first night, that first show that was at the Comedy Underground, I had a great set. I went over my time by accident just because the crowd was so hot that I actually took a full point deduction on my score, and I still ended up winning the first round. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to at least make it to the next round. I think if I can, get reduction in points and still win the night, then I should at least have a chance. But every night's different. You have different judges every night. So like the next night I came in like 7th place or something like that. So I was like, okay, I don't know. And then, I had some good shows after that. So that one was, again, it's so much luck, but I did like the format of the Seattle one better because I feel like you get a better like rounded look at what the comedians are. You kind of, when it's not just one show, do or die, do the judges like you or not. It's that, but then it resets the next night and it's your total scores for the week, and they drop your lowest score for the week too. So if there's one night that you bombed or the judges didn't like you, that kind of gets taken into consideration. So yeah, that was, and again, once you're in the finals, you're with killers. You never know how it's going to go, and you just do the best. And I happen to have the best sets throughout the week, at least in the eyes of the judges. So yeah, that was really fun.
Really, I mean, through the years, I've been in different, local in Massachusetts, Rhode Island comedy competitions. I remember coming in second to Justin McKinney once, and Paul Keenan had a show in Brockton at somewhere, and Justin McKinney's a great comic.
Love
I
Justin,
came in Providence. They had a national thing, and I came in second to Paul D'Angelo, and I won some different competitions, but all local stuff. But what you did, when in Boston and Seattle, what did it feel like when you won those? It must have been.
It was great. I mean, it was exciting. It was definitely really exciting that, just to kind of get that nod and the credit and everything like that. But at the same time, it's just a credit at the end of the day. Sure, I got some networking opportunities and got to meet some really great comedians. And I definitely got, some chance to kind of elevate in the scene from there, have a little bit more recognition. But at the same time, I still had to go out and put in the work. The second I got off the plane in Seattle and I was at an open mic that same night, just to, keep it going. That's the name of the game. And that's the beautiful thing about comedy. I think that's why we all love it, is there is no, you're done, no matter what you do, no matter what competition, it doesn't matter. It's all about, progressing and getting better and challenging yourself and allowing yourself to do that. So that's something that I kind of just hold on to. So, I mean, it felt great. I definitely let myself enjoy it to a point. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting back to work and working towards that next goal.
Yeah, you got to be a hard worker to succeed. And you can't be lackadaisical. You got to work hard at it to get somewhere.
Definitely.
You've accomplished, I mean, in 6.5 years, like, just things you've done. I was like, wow, Drew's really, really doing well. I'm happy for you. Really,
thanks,
the animation and like what clubs did you perform at before the pandemic? You were going around headlining. I saw online. I see some clubs you were doing. Where did you go?
Yeah, so I was doing, the Comedy Underground, of course, in Seattle. After winning that, they let me headline that club. I was doing the House of Comedies in Arizona and Minnesota, and a couple clubs up in like the Comic Strip up in Edmonton. I was going down to Florida to do a couple clubs. I was going to go down to North Carolina. So it was a lot of different spots. I was actually supposed to perform at Boston Calling this year, along with a lot of other fellow Boston comics that kind of got swept under the rug. But yeah, that was going to be, I mean, we were on the same flyer as like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Rage Against the Machines, like all these crazy bands. So it was like that would have been just a really, really fun weekend. So yeah. And I'm hopeful that things will come back. Like I said, some of these places are starting to do shows again. So I do have some of those travel dates coming back up. But they're definitely not going to be the same. They're at minimal capacity. They're socially distant. They're people. But at the same time, I do want to say that the shows that I've done, like the outdoor ones, all those, the people are so grateful. The crowds are so grateful to be out doing something that it's a fun experience, even if you're in the middle of a field with golf cart lights shining on you.
They want to get out.
Yeah, the crowds are laughing. They're there for jokes. They're there to laugh. They're not there to be critical or be judgmental. They're just there to have a good time. So that's what kind of keeps me going right now, is kind of looking forward to those next shows and then staying busy outside of that.
Yeah. What was it like Just for Laughs in Montreal? That's a big thing that happened.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, that's another one of those things, kind of the same expectations. I didn't expect to get it. I just know I had a really good set when I auditioned. So I had won Seattle in November, and I auditioned for Just for Laughs in February. So I was coming off pretty close to Seattle. That set was super tight just from doing it so many times in so many big rooms. I knew exactly the set that I wanted to present to Just for Laughs. So I had a great set. Jeff Singer's the guy who does the booking for that, at least for the unrep side of things. So me and him had a very brief conversation after my set. He said, you had a great set, blah, 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 which I just assumed that he says that to everybody. And then we kind of stayed in touch over the next few months. We had a phone conversation here, an email there. And then I didn't hear anything official until 2 weeks before the festival in July. So it was like the first week of July. I get a phone call and he says, I'm one of the new faces this year. And that was like, I fucking did it. That was like a big goal of mine as a new comic, was to do that. It seems like an insurmountable goal, but all the kind of pegs lined up the right way. And I think I worked hard enough as well to make it happen. So, so then I went up, I decided to drive up to Montreal instead of fly. Just because it's like, like a 3 or 4 hour drive. It's nothing new to a New England comic, as you know. I go to say bye to my wife at work. I'm driving to her work, and my car breaks down. My serpentine belt on my car breaks right when I'm about to leave. I just cleaned it the day before. It was like tipped, everything packed, good to go, and my car fucking breaks down. So I had just enough. Like, it was one of those things, like, you always open the hood because I heard something, going on. And that was the first time I opened the hood and saw what was wrong. I was like, oh yeah, that's not supposed to be flapping around. That's supposed to be a belt.
Oh man.
So I had just enough like momentum downhill to pull into the garage that's like right across the road from the bank she was working at the time. I pull it in there. They're like, yeah, it's going to be, we're full today, but it's going to be a few hours. So I was like, well, hey, Ash, I'm taking your car. So I grab my bag, I run across the road, throw all my stuff in her car, say goodbye, and then drive to Montreal from there. So I was like stressed right away from something that was like supposed to be, like a really nice, rewarding weekend. But yeah, it was, and then it was great. Once I got there, they put you in a hotel. And then the first show you do is your big show. So you're scheduled 2 shows, and you can pick up kind of some other ones that go along if you know the right people that are producing them and stuff like that. So the very first show I had, the first night I got there, I had off. So we just had like an orientation. They show us the theater that we're going to be performing in, the Monument National, which is like this 800-seat theater. It's one of the oldest theaters in Canada. It's beautiful. And so that I got a chance to watch the other new faces. They have repped and unrepped showcases. So the people I got to watch had representation already. So I didn't have a manager or an agent or anything. So I was in the unrepped category of new faces. So I got to kind of see what it looked like. It was hosted by Pete Holmes, who obviously is a great comedian. So it was cool to like get to meet him as things went along. But it also kind of calmed my nerves to see what the process looked like. The show's sold out and you're just watching people do their best sets. And it's kind of a similar situation to that first open mic I went to. It's like, oh, that's all it is. Okay, great. I just go do my set. So the next day it's my turn. I go up 4th or something like that. I was like right in the sweet spot of the crowd. The crowd was super hot. We had 6 minutes that we could do. You could do 5 to 6 minutes. And of course I'm going to do the full 6 minutes. So I go up there, I do the set that I had been working on and polishing the whole time leading up to it. And I didn't miss a beat. It went great. I got like 6 applause breaks in 6 minutes. It was like the best set I'd ever had. So after that, it was a lot of just networking and after parties and all that kind of stuff, just trying to start conversations with a lot of these industry people and management and agencies and stuff like that. So that was really exciting to kind of have that opportunity and then deliver upon it when I had the chance.
So you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you've gotten to this point, Drew. You've won these festivals and the names out there. You're doing, now you're headlining across the country.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows how far you can go, really. You got the drive, you got the talent, work hard. I mean, anything can happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really.
Well, thanks, John. I appreciate it. I mean, yeah, it's a crapshoot, because now I'm starting to have some of these meetings with networks and all that kind of stuff, and it's a crapshoot as far as what they're looking for, because at the time they don't even know. So you got to just kind of put your best ideas forward, and that's what I'm trying to do now, especially with this downtime, is not only kind of create content for myself, but kind of get ready to present these things once the industry gets back to normal, whether it's pitch a show or showing off my stand-up and trying to get those TV sets and everything like that. So it's just a matter for me now. It's just staying focused and working as hard as I can so that when those opportunities do come, I'm prepared for them.
I'll be able to say I knew Drew Dunn when. Sitting in my living room, I'll be an old guy, and I'll look over. See that guy? I worked with him in a barn in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
nobody will believe me. They'll say, "You're crazy. He's a star. What are you talking about?" So it's great. What else? Anything else you want to talk about, Drew? Anything else you got on your mind? Anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like it's nice to finally be back to at least a little bit closer to a sense of normalcy, now that I can get on stage, even if they're outdoor shows for the majority of the time. And I don't know. I'm excited for the future. I'm still nervous that, you know, we might be taking things too quickly and we're going to have to lock back down again. You know, I do think, I wish that this was more better led and managed from the beginning of this thing, because I feel like we would have some, you know, stronger results right now, but it's so hard to say. I mean, we don't know anything about this virus. It's going to take a vaccine and maybe multiple vaccines to really get a handle on it. So I just want everybody to stay safe, do what you think is right, be responsible, minimize risks, and at the same time, you got to have fun. You got to let yourself have fun, let yourself be lazy for a day, cut yourself a fucking break. You know, it's okay to work as hard as possible. But for me, and that's something I struggle with too, is to kind of let myself relax. You know, I want to just be go, go, go. If I take a day off, I'm worried somebody else isn't and I'm slipping behind, regardless of what's happened in my, you know, what I've done and everything like that. So, yeah, everybody just fucking relax a little bit. Be nice to each other. I mean, I stay off so much social media now because you just see people bitching at each other about shit that they don't even have control over in their lives. So, I just try and be nice to people, be kind when you see them, and stop drawing lines in the sand when you haven't even read a book on it yet.
I mean, I go on Facebook mainly for comedy. I'll post stuff with my kids, different stuff, but I don't on here or on Facebook. I don't get into politics. I got my views, but half the people are one way, half of the other. It's just like at a show. If you start talking about something, you don't want to turn half the crowd off on you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you can't. When I started in the early '90s, you could do political humor.
Right.
Clinton was the president. Monica Lewinsky, you could joke about it.
Sure.
Everything was kind of carefree. You know what I mean? There was a lot of corruption in my hometown of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
About that, and it was different. Now you can't get into. It's just, everything's divided. It's just too much.
Yeah,
so
people
I
just
stay away from all that material. I don't get into it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's as close as I'll get is like in the animations. But even then, I'm just kind of brushing upon it and mostly telling people to shut up. And I think it's our job as comedians, at least I consider it my job. I mean, I'm not here to, you know, talk down to people who do political humor. That's their choice. You know, it's our job to put whatever we want forward and towards an audience. And for me, it's to just try and be as silly and goofy and stupid as I can be to kind of give people a break from whatever's going on in their lives. You know, you don't want to be a reminder to what they see every day on the news. I'd rather be a distraction, but that, you know, that's my way of looking at it.
I love it when you do the different characters. How many characters do you do? You probably lost count.
Yeah.
Too many voices, different characters.
Yeah.
See you. You'd always make me laugh because you had some
Thanks,
funny
man.
stuff.
Yeah, it's too many to count, and it was hard. Actually, I had an audition for SNL recently, just a virtual one that I sent in. So it was hard to kind of choose which characters to put forward. You know, like which one do I like?
Would that be awesome if you got on Saturday Night Live?
That's always been a big goal of mine. That's, you know, that's like that pipe dream, kind of like the way Just for Laughs was when I first started. But I mean, SNL goes back to even when I was a kid. I was doing little skits and characters back when I was like 8 or 9 years old.
That's a dream. That's a dream for any comic to get on.
Yeah. So it's cool to even be like considered for something like that with where I'm at now. And obviously that's, you know, it's a long process. It's kind of like anything. They might not like me my first year. They might want to see more of me, blah, blah, blah. But it's definitely a big goal of mine. And I'm excited. Like I said, just the prospect of doing something like that. And I mean, the thing that I feel blessed about is I was planning to move to New York like a week after the pandemic hit. I was planning to be there. We were just trying to line my wife up a job out there. And then I don't know, I had this feeling all year long because my plan was originally try and move in like January or something like that, just to get out there. You know, I have a manager out in New York now. I could get in at the clubs. I could work at clubs like the Stand and really start to kind of, you know, get on stage many, many times a night and really develop my act and be at the place at kind of that epicenter of comedy. And then, you know, COVID hit, and I'm so happy I didn't do that. I'm so happy I didn't just sign like a year lease for $3,000 a month right before a pandemic hit. So I definitely lucked out there and feel pretty fortunate to be with where I'm at.
Thank God you didn't go, because it would have been. It was a tough place to be. I mean, they're doing better now, but you know, it's day by day with this thing. Who knows? You know.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to stay healthy mentally and physically, and I'm definitely eating less fast food now. I can tell you that. That's been nice. But yeah,
I had lost 64 pounds before the pandemic hit.
Right.
And then I gained about half of it back. So I got to get back next week. I'm starting again.
There you go.
Try to get back. I was really in a zone, Drew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard to
Man.
stay in a routine during this whole thing, you know.
We all had our routines down.
Right.
Our lives went a certain way, and then all of a sudden, it's like they tipped us upside down.
Yeah.
Okay, see what you can do now, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it on my end. I'm excited to be doing what I'm doing now. I'm hopeful for the future, regardless of how long it takes us to get back to normal, even if you know, the new normal, I should say, because I don't think we ever go back to exactly the way things were before. Some people are going to be definitely permanently impacted mentally by this, as far as the way they act and treat people. So I'm just going to kind of play it day by day, stay busy, and hope for the best.
Yeah, it's been great having you on, Drew. I mean, I'm really happy for you. I always like seeing comics that I met early on and see how they develop. And you know, obviously some go farther than others, but it really moving up the ladder in the last 6 years. It's incredible. I'm really, like I said, I'm really happy for you. I wish you the best. I'd love to see you again on SNL. That would be phenomenal. Or sitcom or animated. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
The world is yours to. Just you work hard, you're funny, you know what it takes, you got the resume building up. And I see big things for you. You know what I mean? I see big things for you.
Oh, thanks, John. I appreciate it.
I say that to every comic. I don't say that.
Yeah. Is this just your classic sign off?
I see big things. No, I don't say this all the time. I see for you, I really see you coming out, you know, every time you did so, wow, Drew did this, Drew did that. It got to the point where nothing surprised me anymore.
Right.
Man. Drew won. I figured he would, you know.
Right.
You know, so it's great how you pull this off, man. You go in there and you just light it up. You got the characters and different voices, and they work for you.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And like I said, I'll be forever in your debt for what you did for me when I first started. And it's a long way to go, and I'm excited to get going as soon as the world lets us.
Just do me one favor, because I'm in the twilight of my career. You get on SNL. You get a sitcom a few years from now, and I'm still doing Zoom shows.
Yeah.
You got to come back on when you're big. Say, I'm going to go back on Perrotta's show. I told him I would. So.
Of course. And I'll let you open at the Hampton Beach Casino the way Bird did, too.
Oh, that would be cool.
If it all goes that way.
That was the night of my career. You know? Maybe someday
beautiful.
I'll open for you. That'll be another night of my career.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know? But hey, thanks for coming on, Drew. I really appreciate it. Your wife, your father, your family, your mom, everybody stay healthy. How many? You got a lot of brothers and sisters, if I remember.
Yeah, I got 6 siblings, 5 brothers, 1 sister. So
I remember that.
Yeah, they're all doing pretty good through this. They're all staying busy, you know. So
yeah. You got a big family.
Yeah, man.
But tell your father I said hello, and your wife.
I will.
Those are the ones I remember, and I didn't meet your brothers and sister.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on. Stay healthy, brother. Stay safe, and I wish you the best of luck in the rest of your career. And like I said, you're gonna do awesome, man.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it, and let's do a show together once they let us, huh?
Yeah, I'll have you up. The last time I had you up here was maybe 2 years ago. Benefit I did for the
Special Olympics.
And I had you, Rafi Gonzalez, Chris Tabb. That was a show.
That's a killer show. Yeah, that was fun.
You know, the budget was good enough that I could get you 3 guys in the same night. That was back to back headliners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the kind of shows I'd love to put on when you get the right budget. You can kind of do it. You know.
Right.
Well, hey, best of luck, Drew.
Yeah. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Good talking to you, man.
Have fun in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I will. As fun as they'll let me have. Yeah.
Maybe I'll meet you at the barn one of these days.
Yeah. We'll meet behind the barn at the at the end of November or something. We'll set a date.
All right, brother.
All right. We'll see you.
I'll see you, Drew.
Appreciate it, brother.
Bye-bye.